Most people say, I can't envision infinity. If, you know, it's a good point. You know, you might have to take a lot of coffee in the morning or something. But it's like, I can't visualize infinity. If it's true that I have an infinite nature inside of me, how is it that I can't see it, that I can't visualize it? That's a good point. Well, the reason is that most people try to envision infinitely large when they think of infinity. So that is limited by your senses because it's external to you. However, here we see that through infinite division we can generate singularity, a link to all other things. So when you try to visualize infinity, you might want to turn your senses inwards and go towards the infinitely small that's contained in all of your atoms and all of your cells. Well, just happens that all of the masters that have walked the earth have been trying to tell people about turning their senses inward through meditation, prayers, and so on, to connect with their infinite nature. The Buddha, Jesus, all these people said the temple of heaven is within you and within everything. That's the description of a fractal, my friend. The thing is that it was never appropriately applied to physics. It has huge repercussions in physics because it completely changes the way we look at the structure of reality if everything contains the whole. So you see, already this is a key to understanding your nature and your potential. How many times in the year do you turn your senses inward and connect with your infinite nature?
When we have a feeling in our hearts, we're creating electrical and magnetic waves inside of our bodies that extend beyond our bodies into the world around us. And what's so interesting is the research shows that those waves extend not just 1 meter or 2 meters, many, many kilometers beyond where our heart physically resides. So right now in this room is having an effect on Italy beyond this building, beyond these walls. And you'll see this afternoon when many, many people get together with one feeling, many hearts come together and create one feeling, it can change the world, and you'll see just how much. But it's only a miracle until we understand the science. Then it's no longer a miracle, it becomes a technology, a powerful internal technology.
You go through the years and you think, you know, it's all doom and gloom and all the rest of it. And when you look at the way society is going, if you watch the television news and read the newspapers, you would think that this Orwellian global fascist, communist, same thing, different name, dictatorship, this Orwellian global state, was basically a done deal because it is moving real fast. But And if you only come from the 5 sense level of this, and you only see, you know, what the conscious mind can see and perceive, then I can completely understand why people take that on. I completely understand why there are many, you know, researchers into the 5 sense level of the conspiracy who are just going, there's nothing we can do. But there is, because this world is not like we think it is. There are other forces at work. This so-called physical solid reality is not as physical as solid at all. It's fluid. It doesn't seem to be like that, but it is. And because it's got this fluidity behind the apparent stiffness and solidity and immovability, it means that this level of reality can change very, very fast. See, when people perceive that, completely understand it, because the conscious mind is completely giving us this focus of reality. When we think that the physical world has to change by changing physical things, then you're looking at time scales of change that are just enormous as we perceive time anyway, because that's how it is in the so-called solid world. But when you realize that this so-called solid world is actually just a holographic projection, and the real base reality of this universe is waveform vibrating information, then the speed that this world can change suddenly takes on dramatically different proportions. For instance, if you had a computer screen and you had to change that computer screen and what was on it physically, I mean, where do you bloody start? But that computer screen is a projection from information on a disk. Okay, so I want to change that. Okay, disk out, reprogram, press enter, disk in. Whoa, different world. And what's happening now as part of this whole truth vibrations transformation is the information construct of this universe is changing. As it does, it's a cycle. I mean, the ancients talked about the cyclic nature of time. And this for me, Bill, and I can only speak, you know, when I talk like this, from where I'm coming from and what I've researched. People have to come to their own conclusions, of course. It's only right. But the ancients talked about the cyclic nature of time. And it is. It's like a cosmic game. And we go through different epochs, what the Indian culture calls yugas, and other people around the world have different names for them, where this cycle goes through times of great expansion, what the ancients called the Golden Age, and it goes through periods of suppression when things are not like that at all, and there's great challenges, and that's when control systems come in and all the rest of it. And then there are others that bring us back to where we started, and the whole sequence starts again. It's an interactive computer game in the simplest possible way, in that we are picking up information from the game, like the computer picks up information from the disk and puts it on the screen, but we are also, as with the internet, posting our unique contribution to this game. So it's an interactive game. We give and we receive in it. And people who are waking up and going, why didn't I see it before? They're the ones who are opening their minds, and through that vibrating faster, because this suppression of vibrational state, the closed mind, the density, breaks up when you open your mind to other possibilities. They're the ones tuning to the information construct that's coming in, the truth vibrations as I call them, and the ones who are still in the control system and still supportive of it, they're the ones that are still closed-minded and are still at this moment attached to this old, dense, low vibrational epoch of experience. And so, like I said earlier, as this distortion is healed, its manifestation must fall, because its information construct is being deleted from the system. And so what we're seeing is not, and it may sound strange, but if you follow it through, I don't think it is, we are now seeing the control system at its peak of imposition. It seems to be moving faster and faster, more Orwellian laws and all the rest of it. More and more control. They want the microchips in people. They're moving along that road, that agenda. We're having our children, adults too, but particularly our children, targeted with electrochemical distortions in terms of the chemical additives to food and drink, and the mobile phone, the microwave, electromagnetic soup from all this electromagnetic technology. And this is all being thrown at us at this time. I would suggest, controversially maybe, not for the control system to get more power, but to defend the power it's already had from these truth vibrations. No longer can the old way of controlling people, where people just stay asleep, they don't have to do too much. They don't have to do too much at this point. They've got control of the resources, they've got control of this, control of that, and quietly they can just feed off humanity energetically, resource-wise and everything, have humanity go along being their slaves without realizing it, which is the greatest form of slavery, of course, being a slave and not realizing it. But because of these truth vibrations, and because they can see down what we call the timeline, down the time loop as we might perceive it, they could see some of this coming. And so they've focused on this period to throw everything at us, to try to stop us being affected fundamentally, profoundly by this truth vibration transformation, because once we do that, it's game over. And so, for me, the amazing synchronicity between this vibrational change and people waking up and this bombardment of multi-level, multi-dimensional, immensely detailed impositions, mentally, physically, emotionally, on the human race to suppress us and control us. These two have synced here because this will set us free, and that is trying to stop that happening. No chance. But what that will do is make the transformation more bumpy and more challenging than it would otherwise be without this seeking to stop it. Can't stop it. This thinks it's the irresistible force, the immovable object. It ain't. This is the irresistible force, and this is going to have some real shocks as we move through the next little while, up to 2016, 2017, maybe a little longer, certainly within my lifetime, as we see this apparently impregnable, unstoppable control system structure emerging when we see that fall. Because it's a house of cards. Why? Because the energetic information construct that's held the house of cards together, which manifests itself massively as human apathy and human ignorance, which is fundamental to holding it together, that's going. And so the house of cards must fall. Sorry, chaps, just the way it is.